welcome to the American House for our first evening meeting. But it's summertime, and maybe the rain won't be too bad. And I had a very lovely conversation with your mother today, girls. We would love to have had your mother here as well, but she chose not to come because she has a heart condition and didn't think she should. So that's why I knew this in advance, and so we just asked the girls to come.
Does she still live here in Burlington?
Yes, yes. I talked to her today. She lives in Burlington, I think on Earl Avenue, isn't it? Is that her address?
She's 2 down from Jim Avery, isn't
Yeah.
she?
Yeah.
On Zook Lane.
Catty corner from Floyd Avenue is her address.
Would Jen's address be on Earl
I
or
think it's Lloyd.
Lloyd Avenue? Okay. But she was very talkative, and we had a wonderful conversation. We both relived living in the 30s and 40s last century, and it was just fun talking with her. So to get a little family history, she gave that to me. Your mother, as you know, her maiden name was Younce, Y-O-U-N-C-E, and I remember because it rhymes with bounce.
We always pronounced it Yonce.
So, Janet, you pronounce it how?
Yonce.
Yonce.
Yeah.
Okay, well maybe I misunderstood her. But anyway, when she spelled it then, that's how I remembered it. And she and your dad had an interesting meeting. Your dad, as she told the story, was in working at a Needham funeral home in Marion, and he got his degree from the school there, and he had grown up in the Mooresville, Martinsville area, a little town called Brooklyn, and your mother, of course, grew up on a farm in the Amboy Converse area, and she was going to Marion to college, to beauty school in Marion.
Yes.
And the way they happened to meet, the way she tells it, is they both ate at the same little restaurant. And the old gray-haired lady who owned it got to know both of them. And she seemed to think that Jan needed to meet Jim. And so she introduced them. And they met each other, and it worked right away. And so he finished his schooling to become a funeral director. And she finished her schooling at the beauty college, which she said really helped her when she was married to a funeral director.
Yes.
So she had to do a lot of facial makeup and hairdos, and so her beauty college training worked well for her during her years in a funeral home. So she had grown up on a farm. She had one brother and 2 half-brothers and a half-sister. And then they had 5 children: Sally, Susan, Jill, Joy, and Lisa. And the twins Jill and Joy were twins. Of course, we all know that. And so I want to pause here now and let each of you tell a little bit about yourself. We'll just start with Susan and go across. And about what you're doing, briefly, you know, what your life has been and what you're doing now in your own family. So let's pause and let you.
Okay. Well, I'm Susan, and I am 62, and I grew up in Kokomo for the first 3 years, and that's when Mom and Dad bought the land here, and they built, Dad did all of the brickwork, I mean really all of the construction. Gary Gaylor, who's passed now, but he did help Dad a lot with the house, with the roofing.
Elmo Redding.
Elmo Redding did too.
And Hilda. Yeah, Elmo and Hilda Redding.
So I grew up here, and then got married in 1980, moved to Kokomo. I was an RN for almost 42 years at St. Joe in Kokomo. I started off on a general medical, did cardiac, and then went to medical oncology, helped do chemotherapy in 1982 when Dr. Robert Steele came to Kokomo. And then in 1991, in March of 91, they opened a radiation oncology center, and I worked there. And then we finally added chemotherapy to it about 10 years ago or so. So I was down there for 31 years.
You were on the innovation of treating
Yes.
cancer, learning
Yes.
about cancer and treating
Yes.
it. Thank
So,
you for that.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah.
And I did that, and like I said, an RN over 41 years, and just retired. Will be a year ago, the end of July. So we've got 2 grandbabies, and we watch them, and we do a lot of things. A
Oh, I
lot
bet.
of things. So
Wonderful.
that's what I've done. And Mom and Dad always thought it was important to get an education, and all of us girls did. All of us went to college, which I thought about that today, and
Isn't
I
that
thought
something?
that was
Yes.
really great.
Isn't that something? One of the stories your mother told me was about you, Susan.
Oh my.
She remembers it well. This was before Burlington had their own fire department and ambulance service. They had an old ambulance,
Yes.
but they really didn't have any certified people to
Uh-huh.
ride along with it for injuries and so on. And a call came into the house because your dad
They had
and
a
mother
base
were
station
both
there, and-
they were both
yeah.
EMTs and trained, and but your mother for some reason couldn't go. Could be she was busy maybe with little ones.
I think
But
so.
anyway, she couldn't go, and so she gave you her EMT shirt, and you put it on, and she sent you down to the end of the road so you could wave the ambulance down when
Yes.
it came by.
Yes.
Because you were a registered nurse, so
Yes.
you were qualified to attend to whatever came up on that
That
run.
end of it.
So that ambulance run is one of her big memories about you.
And I did end up going, and it was a wreck on 29 out of,
Oh, it was.
they called it Dodgertown. which-
Dodgertown, oh, yeah.
Dodgertown.
Yeah,
Where's
And
Dodgertown?
Carrollton.
Carol.
And I don't know why they called it
Mine used to
Dodgertown.
say Dodgertown.
So we got the patient in the ambulance and did whatever we needed to, and away they went. I didn't go with them, but John Adams said, just take my van home and I'll pick it up.
Well,
And I got in, and it was 3 on the tree. Now, I'd been still, and I had on the floor, and I was 3 on the tree. And so I walked by, and here I'm trying, it's going
trying to drive.
and yeah, so, and I don't know if it was Bob Zook, it seems like it was maybe, but anyway, they got me home because Dad had gone on the ambulance run.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget
So
that.
that's a
So,
story you'll never forget
I
either.
know,
Yeah,
I never will.
yeah, it was one of your mother's favorites too. Well, we're not going according to age probably, so, but Joy, go ahead and tell us some of your, what you've done and what you're doing.
Okay. So, I went to college in Tennessee. My first 4 years, I was at a Christian college. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology. Then I went over to the University of Tennessee in Knoxville and got my master's degree in social work.
In what work?
In social work.
Social work.
I'm a
Okay.
licensed clinical social worker. I'm a licensed clinical addiction counselor. I work in Logansport. There is a Department of Correction prison for teenage boys. I've been there almost, it'll be 10 years in August. And I mainly do individual and group therapy as well as crisis intervention.
Do you like doing that?
I do.
Do you
Yes.
really?
I got my master's degree in 1996. I started out working at St. Joe, and at one point in time, 4 of the 5 sisters worked at St. Joe.
Back in the
together,
90s.
back in the
Yes.
day. The bulk of my career has been with adolescents. I
Has
have
been
worked
with what?
Adolescents. With teenagers,
Adolescents.
With teenagers, yes.
That must be very challenging. And
Can be.
have you noticed through the years a change in the kinds of problems you have with
Yes.
adolescents?
I would say through the course of my career, the mental health needs are more pronounced and
Really?
a lot more severe.
Really?
Really?
They are. The other thing that I've noticed in the prison system is with the closing down of a lot of private facilities and group homes, and there is more mental health needs in a prison system than what there were, say, 20 years ago.
Really? I've
Yes.
been hearing this on the news, but it's interesting hearing it from you. You've
And the
seen that.
drug and alcohol addiction
You think
is,
that the addictions
climbing.
contribute to that?
in part, yes. I think society and cultural,
What kind of climate? You
Influences.
mean cultural climate?
yes,
The way people look at things?
yes, in their belief systems or lack of belief.
A lack of belief. I was wondering, have you noticed fewer of them have had any kind of Christian upbringing?
Yes. Yes. Some have, and some have made poor choices, but I would say a lot, there's family breakdown, too many negative influences. As
Lack of fathers sometimes in the home. Have you noticed?
Yeah, sometimes lack of mothers, lack of appropriate adult supervision and parenting. Yeah. But that's what I do vocationally. I'm a mom, I'm a wife. In 1996, I moved back to Burlington. So I've spent all my life in Burlington except for the 6 years I was in Tennessee for college.
Uh-huh. So Susan's the only one who was not born in Burlington, right?
Well, we were all born in Kokomo.
Kokomo,
Yeah, St. Joe.
Well, I mean,
St. Joe.
But your folks didn't live here when you were born.
No,
But the
they
rest
lived in
of you
Kokomo.
did.
Oh, I lived in Kokomo too.
And
Yeah,
was
yeah,
just-
but
yeah.
when you were
Kokomo, too.
born,
You were briefly, she and I are 11 months apart, so.
Oh,
my
you're-
goodness.
So at
It
one
really loved
time,
your mom.
the way our birthdays fell, Mom and I were talking about this here a while back. She had at one time 3 children under the age of 2.
Oh,
Wow.
Goodness. Susan is in, well,
May,
Lisa's in
Sally's
March, I'm
in
in April, and Susan's in
Yeah.
May.
Yeah.
Oh
So,
my.
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Who's in March?
Lisa is in March,
Oh.
the 30th. I'm the 28th of April, and she's the 20th of May. So,
Wow.
wow.
And that's she did have her
She
hands
likes to have
full, didn't
triplets,
she?
you know?
No kidding, like
And-
bam, bam, bam.
Let's see, what years were you, what year were you born?
59.
59.
Uh-huh.
60.
Okay, so you were all born before they started the funeral home.
Right.
Yes.
So they all, your mother also had the funeral home duties.
Right.
Yes.
Along with the little ones.
Right.
Wow.
She
My
had her
hat's
hands
off to
full.
Jan.
She
Uh,
did.
Yeah.
But
That
you know,
was
when
something.
we girls got older, Dad, since he was a plumber and an electrician, and
Yes.
you know, we helped roof the houses. I remember going on plumbing jobs with Dad,
Yeah.
and I know Susan did
Yes.
too.
Yeah, we
and
went.
Mark and Lisa and
And he taught you all of these side jobs that he
oh yes,
did.
yes, how to
Work on cars.
yeah,
Yeah.
work on cars, how to mow the lawn. We did get in on. I think there were a couple of us. Remember the day Daddy was dropping trees, dynamiting,
Yes.
and
Oh, gosh.
And he taught you how to dynamite.
yes, and how to run and duck down
Yes.
behind the tree that had already fallen for protection. And
How about that? That's pretty